arguably the most important aspect of leadership is the ability to deal with a crisis, right? And there could be a big crisis coming. The massive incompetence and actual malice of the Trump administration that we saw back in 2020, where in March of 2020, it was reported that mostly black people were dying from COVID, and that was the point at which Trump decided to end the lockdowns, end the shutdown, push people back to work on the belief, based on the belief that mostly it would kill black people. And then because the virus first really appeared in a big way in Washington state, you'll recall the first cases were in Seattle, and then in Connecticut and New York and New Jersey, people coming in from Europe, flying into the East Coast. Those were all blue states run by blue state governors, and so Jared Kushner and his buddies advised Donald Trump, this could be an effective political strategy to just blame this on the Democratic governors. And so we had incompetence and outright malice. Well, here's what's going on now. There's a teenager in Canada. They have no idea how this girl got infected, but she's on death's door. She's in a critical condition, or at least was 4 or 5 days ago when this article was published by Nature, the science journal. And they note, I'll quote from the Nature article, viral genome sequences released last week suggest that the teenager is infected with an H5N1 avian influenza virus bearing mutations that might improve its ability to infect the human airway. If true, that means that the virus can rapidly evolve to make the jump from birds to humans. Researchers have homed in on 3 key differences between the normal bird flu virus and the teenagers. 2 possible mutations that could enhance the virus's ability to infect human cells, and another that could allow it to replicate more easily in human cells, not just in the cells of its usual avian hosts. So here we have, it was bird flu that killed 700,000 Americans in the pandemic of 1918 through 1920. And that was when we had a population of only 100 million. That would be the equivalent of about 2.1 million people dying from flu this time around, if it's the same as, if it's as deadly as it was then. There's no certainty around this, whether it'll be deadly, whether it'll be deadlier, or whether it'll be less deadly. But they just, the way that this flu virus mutates is typically in either humans or pigs. Pigs get the human flu viruses just like we do. And they think that's what happened in 1918, although it's still being debated. Here we've got, and here in Oregon, we had 5 pigs that were infected with the flu virus. The feds came in and euthanized them. Now, the good news is, and this is why we shouldn't panic about this, the good news is we know how to make flu vaccines. We've been doing it since 1945. We had no idea how to make a COVID vaccine when the COVID pandemic started, the coronavirus vaccine. We'd never made one before. But we've got flu vaccines. And so, although we don't have a vaccine for this particular flu because, it hasn't finished mutating yet, but that'll come. But there is some evidence that if you have a regular flu vaccine right now, it will give you some help in the event you get infected with the bird flu when it comes. But bottom line, heads up, let's not panic. But I am concerned about the fact that Bob Kennedy and this Markey guy, who are both vaccine skeptics and both believe in herd immunity, if reports are true, will be running our government if and when this happens. You can check it out over at HartmannReport.com. I'll be back with your calls right after this.